would hope that we would take this as an opportunity to engage with our students and have some serious conversations.
I'm sorry to interrupt this faculty meeting.
Well, excuse me, you're out of order, so you may sit for a moment, and if you want to say something, I'll recognize you.
I'm sorry, but my voice as a student has not been recognized over the past month, and I feel that this is the only appropriate place now for me to speak. So thank you for your comment.
So I'll be happy to recognize you.
I don't know what that hiss was, but that was very disrespectful to me as a student, and if you have something to say, you can email me at jandujar@skidmore.edu. Thank you. I'm interrupting this meeting because the voices of students have not been properly heard. Members of the senior class and overall student body are frustrated and do not approve of one of the chosen commencement speakers. Cynthia Carroll is not someone I personally think reflects the values Skidmore has imparted on me, nor do I think that it represents the ideals that I want to hear as I depart from Skidmore. While I think that what she represents is wrong, my growing frustration stems not so much with her, but rather the way the administration has dealt with this whole topic. This has been something that has been in conversations for over a month now, and I have attended the previous faculty meeting, and that was not even discussed when it was already in discussions at that time. The discussions that have been happening over the past 4 months, I have yet to see any public sort of statement happening to address this issue to the student body. I haven't seen any sort of acknowledgement of anything. And to me, someone who is personally against this commencement speaker, that says that my opinion is being silenced and hidden away and shut down. And I do not like that or support that. I'm disappointed in the lack of my voice, my fellow students' voice being heard. I'm disappointed in the way this whole process has been occurring. I've been in conversations with students who have been in these discussions. I've been happening behind closed doors, and I've been hearing from their frustrations out of these meetings that have been happening. All of these meetings have been happening between just 3 students, all 3 of them who are seniors, and I greatly appreciate that, and I like the opportunity that we have to have a voice and the ability to speak about this, but at the same time, the sort of answers and replies and responses that we're getting from the administration is not what the sort of demands that we're asking for. We're asking for a direct change. We're asking for some real reaction. And the things that we're getting are just little things to appease us, and I sure do not want to be appeased, not at my commencement, not something that I worked 4 years here to get. As I mentioned earlier, there are discussions happening about how to address this in the best possible way. Out of this is coming a soon-to-be-announced conversation with said Cynthia Carroll. That's great. This conversation is just going to be a sort of Skype session from my understanding with her, and we're going to talk and hear what she has to say, and that is great. But that is not what I see as an appropriate response. I'm not interested to see what she has to say about herself. I'm not interested in that at all. I'm more interested in seeing how I can either get the speaker to no longer be at my commencement or not speak, because that was what's important to me, not having to hear what she says. Because now, if she comes here and speaks, and she still speaks at commencement, now I have to hear her twice, when I didn't even want to hear her at all. So, thank you, sir. Many of you in this room have taught many of us students that are currently here, as you see behind me. Many of you have taught us to stand up and fight for what we believe in. Many of you have encouraged us to challenge the administration on different topics. And this is me doing it now.
Yes.
And I feel that the students who have tried to challenge the administration on this earlier in the semester are being told, don't. They're being told, here's another option that might just, distract you from the larger picture. The larger issue is the way the administration decided to deal with this. Commencement is my commencement, it's their commencement, it's for students. It's not for some board of trustees filled with people who either went to Skidmore or didn't go to Skidmore to decide who gets to speak to me, someone who spent 4 years here, to impart words of wisdom to me. I love the sentiment, but I think that I should have more of a say in what I hear at my own commencement. Lastly, I will leave this with the hope that you faculty here, and if you could spread the word to other faculties who are not in attendance, to please join us students in some sort of demonstration if Cynthia Carroll does continue to come to commencement, because I, for one, will not be happy at commencement. A day that is supposed to be, at least for me, someone who probably won't be able to graduate from any other place after this, probably one of the greatest days of my life. And now I have to spend it probably disappointed with my family not knowing why. Because I refused to tell them that my school that I still to this day love, I love it so much that I got to the point where now I have to risk the last 4 or 5 weeks I have here that I feel uncomfortable and probably will be crying in my graduation. I don't think that's fair for my family to know, so they have to see me being upset about this. So lastly, once again, faculty, if you can just help us. I'm sorry that this had to happen, but this is where the administration pushed our student voice to do. Clearly, the avenues for our students to have a voice in this were not enough and not effective, so this is where we felt we had to go. To the one place that my 4 years here at Skidmore, my 3 years working in student government have taught me that actually has some sort of say on this campus is the faculty floor. I've sat through many of your faculty meetings and seen many pointless and actually important conversations happen here, and I think that this is the only place that I have left to go, aside from the Board of Trustees, but I think I already know where they would stand on this. I'm going to hand things over to Danny now.
Hi everybody, we're almost done here. So this is a United Minds position statement. I'm just going to read this off. We're looking for faculty support in this struggle. We believe that the decision of choosing Cynthia Carroll, and David Brooks for that matter, to speak at this year's senior commencement goes against the social responsibility and the critical thought we have been told we would acquire from our 4 years at Skidmore College. We believe this decision shows that Skidmore College Skidmore College represents the corporate exploitation of human beings, particularly of peoples of color, that has plagued the majority of the world for hundreds of years. We believe that Cynthia Carroll's corporate affiliations and positions at BP Oil and Anglo American tells us that she bears responsibility for the inhumane and unjust practices that have displaced communities, killed countless of human beings, directly or indirectly, through war or oppressive working conditions, and destroyed the global environment. We believe this decision misrepresents us as Skidmore students and highlights the lack of power that students at Skidmore have in deciding the destiny of not only this commencement, but also of the college and the destinies of our future. And this is what we want. We want accountability and we want answers. The administration has been silent on this issue, and all I've heard is a pathetic statement by the Skid News media that was posted in response to our student opposition. We want faculty, specifically, to help us organize an event that invites the administration responsible for this decision to explain their motives, desires, justifications, and thoughts about this problem. Lastly, we want the question of student empowerment to relate to community empowerment, and mostly the empowerment of all people oppressed by this global political economy that we live in. We are not interested in ourselves just as students, but also the world that we live in.
Yes.
Well, I have to say I'm impressed by the fact that you guys care deeply about this, and I acknowledge that. I'm not impressed by the statement that I'm not willing to listen, I'm not willing to talk about this. I'm not impressed by the fact that people are saying, you know, we've been unresponsive. I've met with anybody who wanted to meet with me. I had a fireside chat the other day, and anybody could have come. And I did have a conversation at that. But I do understand that there's a desire to have an open forum, a conversation. That's great. We've been working to arrange it. We thought that having an opportunity for students who had concerns about Cynthia Carroll actually to speak with her about it would be a good idea, and I still think it is. So,
the moment for an open forum has passed. Like I said in my speech, that's not what we want. We want some change. We want some sort of actual response to this. For me, that means either not having her there or not having her speak. And one of the constant things that I keep having people tell me is that it's disrespectful to disinvite her. It looks bad. I don't care. It's my commencement, not hers, not yours. It's my day, not yours, not hers. I earned it.
we can't go on too much longer with this here, but there could be other opportunities. So I'm open to this.
I think that it will be important to get that in order in terms of what is the purpose of the faculty meeting and not to negate the importance of student sentiment. But I do think it's also important that we put into context some of the things that have been happening. as a result of student concerns. And I just want to speak to that so that we all know what those things have been. We can disagree about those things. We can suggest that other things should have been going on, but I don't want there to be a void of information, because part of productive community change and organization is that we're all open to lots of information sharing. So I'm going to speak to that. So when the issue became aware that students were concerned about the selection of Cynthia Carroll as their commencement speaker, a few of us got together with identified students, and I sought out who might be voices on this. And so it was only 3 students that we were speaking with, but we have had a number of conversations, and I think really tried, from my perspective, to work collaboratively to think about what were not only the presenting conflict, but also what were opportunities to surface important issues, which we did. And I'm not going to go into a long conversation about those things, but we have been working, I think, earnestly, beginning well before spring break, to really both understand the concerns, but also to begin to think about ways we might begin to address them. And to include in that the process for selecting commencement speakers, which we all heard as a critical and important part of student concerns. So while, former student activism myself, I'm never really bothered by student activism. I think it's one of the ways students are empowered and understand their own voice and passion about things. But I do want to acknowledge in this group that there has been a process to try to come to some deeper understanding across the institution and to create opportunities for us to both speak and to listen to each other. And part of what the group had hoped and did come to fruition was that Cynthia Carroll herself might be a part of what we saw as an important dialogue, both on the particular issue, what her role represents, but also on the larger issue. And I think that is manifested in this very room, how we as a community, when we have conflicting ideas or we have conflict within our community, or we want to have opportunities for collaboration and communication, how we lean into those things. So I think there are lots of ways to do that. I'm not making any judgment about anything right now, but just wanted to add this piece of information. And it is my full intent, and I hope others, to stay around the table and continue to work on this.
Let me ask the students, what would you like to happen today?
I'm not playing that game with you this time, Glatzbach. You do that a lot, and I'm not having it.
Calm down. You want to hit him?
Yeah, he really did get up.
As I said, I'm not playing that game. President Glatzbach.
I understand that there are many emotions that are going on in this space, and I appreciate Calhoun, what you're saying. But the thing is, for me personally, it's just always hearing the political jargon over and over again, and not ever feeling the connection. Like, you are all understanding where we're really coming from right now, because when Jovany's saying that at our graduation, he's going to be in pain, as many of us will be, to have to sit there and listen and see once again the hypocrisy that goes into aspects of this college. That's not how I want to end my time here. Okay, it's already been hard enough for me to be a student at this school for the past 4 years. I want to be able to close it out in a positive way. And having this woman who we had no input or say on to speak for us and at us to our graduation is, for me personally, unacceptable. Why do you not take into account the opinions that we as students have? Why are you so afraid of seeing us and seeing the emotions that we have and the pain that we're going through and the challenges that we're providing for this college? Can we have some of you step up with us to start really changing what this school is doing, because there's so much potential here, but as long as we continue to do things business as usual, nothing will change. To represent us. We've had students collect responses from a broad range of people. We've had all these things happen, but it's always behind closed doors, in these small spaces where the real voices of all the students are not being heard or valued or really appreciated. Why have we not really heard anything about this? We only know because we have friends who are doing this. It's this communication that is so broken here. There are many things that are great here, but many things that are broken. And it is time for us to really start taking action to change. Instead of just talking about it, we need to start doing things. We need to start acting, because we, as students, are through, okay? Through with this, through with being told, yeah, we're going to make a difference, we're going to make a change, and nothing presented back to us showing that something is happening. And we're standing here now to say that we will no longer stand for things the way they have been. And we want true collaboration, true communication, not this political jargon and this and this and that. We want to see things really change. Otherwise, I know I personally will leave here and will not be telling my friends and my family and other people to come here. If you're not actually showing us that you're willing to make a change, I will not be promoting Skidmore when I leave. And that is painful to me, because I have had so many positive opportunities here. But I'm promising you all this now. If there is not a real change that happens, I will not support Skidmore. I cannot do that. It hurts. The last 4 years of pain have been enough. I don't want any more. Okay, I want to see real change. That is my desire. That is what I want, President Glasgow. That is what I want.
My name is John Cunningham, and I'm in the art department. And I'd just like to sort of point this out, you guys. You're making a case for yourself, and I'm surprised I didn't know this issue existed. But you know, this is a pride, for your graduation is a prideful moment for us too. We've been with you guys all these 4 years. It's been a wonderful, creative, exciting experience for us. And at one point, you know, Phil steps up in that ceremony, he says, "And by the powers vested in me," and it's a grand and special gesture that we all are proud of and we all share. So I'm hoping that maybe we can bring this dialogue back down to something a little bit more civilized, because we're with you guys. We're back you guys 100%.
President Glasgow, I'd just like to say one more thing. A lot of us other students are looking forward to an open forum. I feel like some leaders have gotten a little, they're very passionate. It's a very personal issue for them, and if that came off as an offensive way, like a lot of the rest of us would still like to take part in an open forum, because I think it's very important to hear what she has to say as well. So thank you very much.
Let me just say a couple of things. Again, and I mean this sincerely, it's very difficult to have a conversation if anything that one says is already disregarded as political jargon, hype, or whatever. So I would request that if we're going to have a real conversation, that we give each other the respect of listening. And I really did listen to what folks were saying here. And I do hear you, and I think I understand. I mean, your experience is not my experience. That's true. We're in a different place in this institution. I'm not a student here. I get that. I was a student once. I also protested and was engaged in these kind of activities. So I think I also understand a little bit about where you're coming from. I do think there is a complicated conversation here. If we define it in advance as a no-win situation, either the only alternative is that she doesn't come or she doesn't speak or whatever, before we have, you know, I'm willing to talk with anybody. I'm willing to come to the open forum. That was my plan. I thought we would have that conversation. I thought plans were in the works to have that. So that would be my intention. I do think there's a more complicated picture to say here. And I'm happy to provide my opinion on this. I think that this is part of what we're all about here. I recognize your right to have a different position. I recognize your passion. I understand your statement.